Good morning, gentlemen. How are we
Good
doing?
morning.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
I was just noticing on those intro pictures, both Michael and I look about 2 or 3 years younger.
I guess it's time we all get new headshots, huh?
Well, have to get out in public to do that. So coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon to an open state near you, maybe. Just kidding.
I
But
think it's the first time actually joining you with coffee, by the way, because of course in here it's like 4 o'clock, and normally don't drink coffee after more this late, but was needed now, so I'm joining you.
I'll say it's
Good.
what, 3 or 4 p.m. right now?
It's 4 p.m. in here.
Okay. Yeah, 4 p.m. coffee. You won't be up too late. No big
That's
deal.
the last acceptable hour.
Exactly. I was gonna say after
Well,
4.
I
It's
just
like,
was watching one masterclass about sleeping and like what the coffee is actually doing with you and how long it stays in your body. I thought, okay, after 1 or 2 hours it's gone, but stay there, part of it, like 25% of it stays really long. So pretty interesting masterclass, actually. Nice app. But it was so I just know what it does to you. So for sure the last one for now.
well, I was gonna say then I guess I'm not drinking enough or I'm drinking too much because I don't feel that after effect. Hopefully means I'm needing to up my my caffeine intake. But how's the week for you guys? It was kind of crazy. We didn't go live last week, but it seemed like we did because we pre-recorded. And I just got back from Florida, so did a little bit of traveling during COVID, and now now we're here back to our favorite Monday morning. What's new? What's cracking? We'll go with Golden first.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was another week of lots of really interesting things happening and interesting prep. Once the world kind of returns back to normal, there's a lot of really, really cool things across hospitality that are going to be happening. We just have to make it a few more months, it seems. So excited about the future and ready to quickly get there.
For sure. Same boat. What about you, Mr. Ross?
Well, it's interesting. I spoke to some people in travel, and actually also some investors, and I was asking, okay, how do they see it, right? You know, one good friend of mine invests in over 30 travel startups. And so, how do you see it? Are they still all alive, or are they all gone? He said, no, actually, they're still all doing okay. There, of course, is not the best situation, but he said, I think they really can come out stronger. And again, we mentioned in previous talks already that like startups, they're agile, they can come out stronger. And he really thinks, and he made good exits before. He said, I think it's really, really now it could help. Again, it's now surviving mode, but venture capital is now start investing. Well, there's a big one in Trip Actions I'm going to mention in the Bidruption Report, but you can see money's coming now. It's investment starting. I think Michael going to mention one. So more and more, I think the belief is coming back, and I think we mentioned before, stay positive. And even though, of course, it's like still, if you look at the situation all over the world, it looks near you really, really bad. But people are really hopeful. I think I was walking to the center in here in the weekend, and of course, everybody wearing the mask. But I think people still, I think they really want to go out there, and I think it's the recovery. And at first, I was a bit skeptic how long it will take. I think summer will be really before it was after summer, September, October. People are saying I think summer could be good already because people just need to go out. And so let's see. But it was a good week. We see more and more partners are interested to cooperate. I think that's also nice to see. When Bidroom, we had a pretty strong focus always on the consumer market. We see there's so much interest now from companies to work together. So you see there's an giving added value, helping in recovery. So it's interesting what's happening there as well. So all good.
Yeah, and to your point about summer, Michael, I spent part of the weekend planning a trip this summer to Ireland with my wife, and it was very therapeutic. Not actually taking the trip yet, but at least planning it and talking about what we want to do and where we want to go and all of that. And it's been a long time since I've planned a trip. Usually, at least work trips, or you show up and you just kind of cater along the work schedule, and you don't have much time for going to see this or visit that or eat at this place. But it's quite therapeutic. So for those of you that don't have a trip planned yet, time to start putting one on the calendar, even if it is later.
Indeed, I recommend just start planning, and if you have to cancel or just change your plans, you'll see. But again, the fun before is already nice, and I think it's different than before. Right? Before it was spontaneous. Let's go next week there, and you just did it. Now you're just excited just to even Ireland. Not bad about Ireland. I don't know if people watching, but even so excited to plan something to Ireland for like months in advance. Right? That's already that's already exciting. So before, well, especially here, it's taking me a 2-hour flight, but those things before were just normal, right? They did it 5-6 times per year. Often they just let's go next week. We go somewhere, and so I think with my wife we just planned 7 places we would like to go in the summer, and then now we just more and more considering where should we go here, should we go there. So I think this whole fun before, I think that's what people now appreciate more, right? It's like the pre-holiday phase.
Yeah. There was an old stat many years ago, and it probably doesn't hold true, but the average booking window on Airbnb was like 14 days or something, and the average booking window on Vrbo was like 3 months. So you see the difference of the traveler types and how they book and how they plan ahead. And family travel is planned many months in advance typically, whereas spontaneous like work or friend group travel is more last minute. So it's interesting to see even like the property types or even the platforms, like who they attract, what the windows are like. Now I think they're all fairly tight or fairly really far out. You're either getting bookings within a 7-day window or 7-month window, but there's not a whole lot in the intermediary.
Well, I was going to say it's cool.
This conversation now about how I actually started my journey as an entrepreneur. I just didn't realize actually. It was all because of planning. I remember the trip with my 2 best friends to the US. So okay, no, I will organize it. So I just made a whole trip for 1 month to US, to the West Coast, East Coast. We went everywhere for 1 month. Well, everywhere is difficult in 1 month, but we went to different places and had a week in Hawaii. So actually, I prepared everything. It was super smooth, and I enjoyed it so much. Okay, why not start a travel agency? So I started like actually next to my previous job a long time ago, young years. I started a travel agency and then became one of the largest travel agencies eventually in the Netherlands. So actually, it started by doing actually what you like, but it's. So yeah, I might do that again. Plan everything. It'll be fun.
I was gonna say I've been talking to a lot of people on something that we're gonna mention a little bit later, but seeing the booking windows that you're talking about, the spontaneous trips. So now we're having a lot of, especially in the short-term rental market, people seeing your bookings like a year ahead. So it's kind of cool to see the confidence kind of shift in that way. We can read all the data reports and paper white studies and all that other kind of stuff, whatever. But I think it's cool to see from the operators level that they're seeing that confidence return and their brand equity kind of stand out a little bit.
Well, I think if you're looking at the trust and the belief people has, and of course B2Bs have really attacked, but I think we can go soon to the Bidruption Report when we talk about trip actions, but it's in B2B and people start believing there even again. So I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, and you guys would get a kick out of it, but 2 of the places that I booked were in castles. So there's a market.
That's so awesome. There is a market. Well, especially in Ireland. Well, great. I think that's a good transition. We'll get to the Bidruption Report, and then we'll get back to what's with the noise, and you can talk about more castles.
Yeah, this week the trip actions will be the startup of the week. Well, I'm not sure we still should call it a startup if it's a company is valued over $5 billion nowadays. And actually, Trip Actions is a company who actually offering business travel. So they're making smart solution in business travel. If you know, we discussed also in previous topics. A lot of people say, is it really coming back? Is it maybe coming back on 75%, maybe 50% of travel before? But what is really interesting to see actually in this round is the valuation. The valuation, as you just mentioned, is $5 billion. If you're looking actually at their valuation before COVID, so we're looking at mid-2019, their valuation was $4 billion. So it also shows there's a lot of trust that actually business travel is coming back. I think one of the founders, I think it was the CEO, who said maybe next year it comes back already to 75% at least, and maybe soon after come back to more than that. So there's a lot of hope again too that business travel will come back as before. I'm still doubting if it will come back as before, because I think everybody, well, one of the previous episodes we're talking about virtual events and everything, and people get pretty used to it. So still, I should have a meeting in a few weeks first in person, and we're going to do to Zoom again. So I'm not sure if they'll come back to the level before, but at least what is really nice to see, there's a lot of hope, and people count on the business travel comeback. So let's see. I mentioned it also before, it's an area where Bidroom is going to look into in the future, so it doesn't make sense to go more into business travel. I think there's potential, especially with our model we're working with. So I think it comes back. Again, I don't think it will ever come back as it was before, but let's hope it will come back at least at 75%, and that sounds already positive. So the start of the week is trip actions. So guys, well done with this big round of $155 million. So it's a pretty big one. Hopefully they can hire again, because they fired quite a lot of people last year. So let's hire again, I would say, with this money, to give new joiners a great job. Second thing I want to discuss as well is the event I joined, the Young Business Award. We were in the semi-final. It was live broadcasted last Friday. So pretty cool. People who want to watch it, you can go to YouTube and search for the Young Business Award. It looked pretty cool if you're looking at the images in here. So I was pitching in front of a jury of 5 people. I was pitching there together with 12 other startups. We're now in the final 12. I think on next week, Monday, actually is the final. And they said, okay, on the date of the final, you're here. If we're going to be in the final, maybe the day before, at least because it will be useful if you know before. And then you have to pitch again and to see if you're going to be the winner of the Young Business Award. So the whole experience was pretty cool. I had to pitch in 1 minute. I explained there as well to summarize a journey of 5 years Bidroom into a 1 minute pitch is not easy, but it was fun to do, and it was a great experience. So people want to watch it, or check my LinkedIn profile, share there as well, or just go to YouTube and search for Young Business Award. And episode 2 is me starting there as the first one. So, and one more thing I want to mention, and I almost forgot, actually the voting started for the USA Crota Awards. So actually Bidroom is mentioned actually finalist in 3 categories, which is the best travel startup, the best hotel website, and I am also selected as with 10 other founders as the best travel founder, global travel founder. So, but everybody's listening, please vote for me. So go to the USA Crota website or check the Bidroom or my personal LinkedIn profile. Go to the link and vote, of course, for us. I will be really appreciate it, because if I win, I'm going to celebrate it on this podcast and share it with you. So don't forget to vote and vote for us. And that was the Bidruption Report for this week. It's your turn, Mr. Golden.
What's up, Grandma? Man, Michael, you looked really sharp in that presentation. I look forward to watching it. Condensing anything into 60 seconds would be quite challenging, but good luck to you, and hope it all works out. This week, we are talking about the differences of flexible travel or flexible accommodations and corporate housing. Flexible accommodations is essentially signing 1 month, 2 month, 3 month leases instead of a traditional 12-month lease. And the flip side of it is corporate housing. So many years ago, or even up until last year, really, corporate housing was a big business, and it was dominated by a few companies, Oakwood, Bridge Street, amongst a few others. And as the rise of Airbnb happened and other short-term rental platforms like Sonder, the traditional corporate housing was really firmly challenged. And we saw another one go out of business this past week. Will, if you could bring that up. So Quarters was a pretty big name traditional corporate housing company or service departments, and they've now filed for bankruptcy. We'll see what happens with it through bankruptcy, if it rises from the ashes or something else happens. But the contrary of corporate housing, again, is flexible living. And they're not necessarily just catering to putting up corporate tenants for a 1-month training or relocating executives for 3 months. And a company called Landing, who was founded by a guy from my home state in Alabama here. They're based out of San Francisco now, but they secured $100 million for a flexible living platform. Now, I think this perfectly highlights positioning and how you talk about your business, because the offerings are very, very similar between flexible living and corporate housing, but the ability to market to the right people and not pigeonhole yourself into just a single type of traveler, like a corporate traveler, has paid off dividends for the folks over at Landing. So kudos to them. And again, a reminder, the theme of this show is flexibility, and Landing has showed us why that is so important.
Yeah, flexibility, and even the title of this episode, just will hotels become the new, office? And I think we've covered this quite a few times, but just more and more as the year goes on. Well, as 2020 and then now 2021 goes on, we're seeing the hotel space get really creative with some big brands, even some independent boutiques, and now short-term rental professionals and operators. Really, like the lines are blurring. I can't emphasize that enough. We've talked about it a lot, but like you said, it's how you position it, it's how you communicate it, and specifically branding. Communicating a story. So it's quite interesting to see one go bankrupt and then yet another company gets $100 million in funding.
It's wild.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts?
Models, right? You see, I mentioned that the chat what I had with the guy who invested in 30 startups, and we discussed those things as well. And he's in glamping, but he's also, for example, by hours. And by hours, for example, is the same like a day use. You just can book something for a few hours and work from there. And I think also we mentioned this, I think also in a previous episode. It's interesting to look into, and I will be probably next week in the Netherlands. I was thinking, like, could we actually use, I need a place. I've got some calls that I have to do and focus on. Can I just get a are the hotels open? Can I do the offer day use? So for the first time, I was actually checking as well if they're offering this. Unfortunately, they didn't. One of the hotels nearby my parents. But it is interesting to see, like, and I think more and more, I think co-working spaces like WeWork, what is the added value? I think you will see more hotels who are offering much more than that. So separate rooms, they have a space downstairs where you can just sit and eat. And if you want to go upstairs to have some privacy, some video calls, you go upstairs, renting for some hours. I think this whole room will be used differently. So I think the typical hotel image what everybody has, like, okay, you're just going to book it. You can enter your room at 3 o'clock. You have to leave it at 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock. If you're 11 o'clock, you're annoyed because you always want to have it longer. And that's pretty it. And that's how your rooms were sold. And I think this flexibility, many times mentioned, I think is crucial for hotels for recovery, right? And if you can just sell your room as well, sometimes you just need it for a few hours, just have it sleep. Somebody just want to use it for day use. I think hotels can make much more revenue by doing this. And when we pre-discussed this already, Michael, you mentioned, imagine F&B, right? If we just can work from a place you're working, you need food. And if you need food, you're going to order. And what you're going to order, you're going to call the room service. And that is...
And it's not limited to that, right? So I'm sure you guys have been in a WeWork. They are loud. It is really hard to get work done, especially if you're on the phone or doing video calls in a WeWork. And hotel rooms are perfect. They're pretty well sound insulated. You can pop downstairs to the cafe. You can order room service. You can go upstairs to the pool if you need some fresh air and a break. You can go downstairs to the gym, get a quick workout in. You can shower in the hotel. Like it's all right there for you, and it makes perfect sense to be office spaces. They have communal areas that you can rent out, conference centers typically, where you can have some of your colleagues come in. the space is designed really well for individual offices and really the remote work life office where you don't have to have big collaborative teams, but you can have in NoiseAware, we call them tiger teams that are small groups of people that can gather in a single hotel room or maybe the adjoining rooms of a suite or something and get work done and have peace and quiet, but also be able to pop in and grab a croissant.
Well, I was going to say too, if I could mention that, like as a hotelier, from my experience, the one thing that hotels pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, all this stuff, the one thing that they struggled with was focusing on the 5 feet around them, right? They're always intentional. Like when I was in Seaside, we're always wanting to get people from Portland or Seattle or any other state pretty much that you could think of, but we never cared to attract the surrounding community. Now this gives hotels the opportunity to really leverage their neighbors and to leverage the local businesses and use this as a place of, you don't have to be an out of state and out of country and out of whatever traveler to come stay with us. You can be literally right down the road. And that's where I think I'm hoping that hoteliers and hotels in the sense, shift towards, because that's how we're going to have sustainable. That's how you avoid seasonality, especially when you have high seasonality in destinations such as beach resorts or anything like that. You can start focusing on the remote worker, people that live in your city. Plus, when you are able to hone that in during the slow time, specifically, they're going to become advocates for you. They're going to become brand ambassadors. They're going to become point members or point users, whatever. And they're going to start spreading the word. And then, of course, brand equity is going to come right back around. More direct bookings, hopefully, you name it. I think that's going to be the key for sustainable hotel markets, is going to be getting that flexibility zone, but then also really focusing on the local community.
Oh, your acquisition will be different, right? Because if you get your community who is working often in your hotel, now hotels keep spending a lot of money in acquiring members, and they're using the expensive OTAs or etc.
Yeah.
Or when they're clever, they're using Bidroom. But you see, they're constantly busy with acquiring new guests. The other hand, if you have people in your region who just want to use the rooms for their use or creating different experience, it makes so much sense. As Michael just said, if we just imagine you can just work, and normally you're using the hotel room for sleeping, right? That's the how you're seeing it. It's a bedroom and you're just sleeping for a few hours. And there's so much time is empty between 6 o'clock and next morning. So if we even split the whole stay, so okay, you can book the room from 9 till 5 or whatever, and you're selling it from 6 till from 8 o'clock in the morning. And then you can just lower the prices on both sides. You can just double. Of course, you have your operational costs, the cleaning and everything. But I think if you really look like the revenue it could bring them, first of all, they're selling it twice. Second of all, they can have the dinner, sell it to the hotel guests. They can sell the lunch to the day use guest.
Yeah.
And then again, even though when you're making a few things optional, like gym or those kind of facilities, spa, again, you just have a lot of people coming back. You just have not people just going out of the hotel, spending whole day in sightseeing. You've got people staying in your hotel all day who's going to spend money. So I think it's really interesting to see what's happening there, but I do believe this could be a model which will be more and more popular. And ideally, when you're adding a subscription to it, because I do like some subscriptions sometimes, you've got recurring income, which is really for hotels to have recurring income. Just know, okay, I've got 25 people who just paying every month. They're paying $400. It's nice if you know that every month you have your 10K on your account by recurring income. It's amazing. So for hotels, you make it really sustainable as well.
Yeah, two parts to that. You saw one of them, Michael. Every business wants recurring revenue now. That's where bigger valuations come from, and that's where more value is driven. Like the bigger hotel brands have recurring revenue through their loyalty programs, but right now that's not paying dividends. And the downside to a hotel, which could ultimately be a good thing for all of us that travel, is internet is usually garbage. So the recurring revenue gives the ability for these hotels to invest in good, legit Wi-Fi, and then ultimately everybody wins in the end. everybody gets a better travel experience when they go. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've been in hotels and had important video calls, and the video just doesn't work. So I have to wait. I have to go outside. I have to use it from my phone, and it can be challenging. Now, some hotels are better than others, but if we were going to paint broad strokes, Wi-Fi at hotels could be better.
Yeah,
Other
I was gonna
they can really track the Wi-Fi connection of hotels. So like one overview. I think maybe a nice topic for the show maybe in the future will be business ideas, right? Because we had so many, I think we had in different conversations. But I'm curious if there's like a platform you can say, just I'm going to Rome, show me list, not on pricing. No, show me on the speed of internet, whatever. Because it is important. If you really go, we want to have a really good connection, especially when you're in video calls. And the most annoying thing is if you're in a video call and you go somewhere that's not working. So, Wi-Fi hotels, whatever. Yeah.
Airbnb just updated their amenities list for hosts. So like you can add more amenities to your listing. And I'm surprised that one of them isn't the internet speed. Because a lot of hosts or operators are screenshotting their internet speed from like fast.com or whatever to help their listing for the remote work. But that's not one of the amenities to check off. I think hotels can probably pick up from that. But I wanted to touch back on what you were saying, Golden, because you're talking about the internet sucks and like how they can use this subscription model to use recurring revenue to invest back in the property. The one other thing that if anyone, like if you're a hotelier listening to this episode, if you can do this properly, then you'll kill it. You'll end everything in the competition market. But the pain point is the transaction. So having to sign reg cards, having to do waiting line for the lobby or the front desk, all these things are becoming pain points for the traveler. And if you can implement a system that is able to take subscriptions, whether you can have a loyalty rewards program that includes that type of model, that I can make either a reservation for a day use, or I can do a nightly one, or I can do a bundle of both at some kind of deal. Finding a way to take that transaction part as seamless as possible, where the back of house operations isn't frantic and the guest isn't impatient and becoming annoyed by the waiting and the signing and having to come back down and do this and rekey their key cards and all the little things that happen. If we can get rid of that as an industry, there's a great, we'll probably have to feature them soon as a startup of the week or something, a great software that I'm even demoing for a couple other clients, but it's called Hotel Key. And it's pretty much just taking that transaction as smooth as possible, as easy on the back end, as an app for the hotel users, it's an app for the operators. Overall, like finding ways to get that creative and take that transaction as minimal as possible is going to be key.
Well, Apple will be
exactly
what in that case. Okay, with Apple ID, you have all your details connected to your credit card. With double click, you can enter the room. If a company like Apple, Google, they could do it easy because they have the payment part, they have the customer data, and you have to get your email, so they know actually almost the whole process they could facilitate, right? So you see, Apple went, of course, to payment, but if you're making your reservations to your Apple Pay, for example, then you're renting your room with your double click and you just with your Apple ID, you can unlock the room. And if you want to order something, it's still connected all to your same Apple ID. You just order something, it's directly taken. And if those companies, I think it'll be the future, they will do it for sure. I will not be surprised. Those companies can take care of it. They can take a huge advantage. Otherwise, indeed, what you said, I think on this stage, it'll be, I don't know, you mentioned one, I didn't know them, but it's interesting to look at companies. Okay, can we really offer the full value chain? Or can we really take care of this smooth journey? Because still I'm surprised when they're entering in a Hilton, sometimes I have to fill in 7 forms. And then I realize, oh, but you're in the system. But it is annoying like crazy. When you, especially in the evening, you want to arrive something, and you want to arrive, you just go to your room to chill, and then you have to fill in those horrible forms. And within Bidroom, friction is like, we do everything to remove friction. It's not always easy, of course, but zero friction policy within the whole travel journey is needed.
Yeah. And everything you just said, like building the ease of use.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm just thinking as a sales guy, I'm the GM of one of these properties. I'm going to the 3 or 4 co-working spaces nearby and saying, hey guys, you want a quiet place? We've got a cafe, we've got a gym, all of it's included.
Yeah.
And we can probably do it at a better price because right now we're not monetizing anything. And you should be able to poach a lot of the companies that are looking for a better rate or better quality or whatever than in a WeWork. And again, like, I don't know if you guys have been in or actually worked out of WeWorks, but man, they're loud. The energy is really cool, and I like the speed and the loudness does play into the energy. But man, when you have to actually get work done, it's challenging.
It's not good for podcasting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's try it once.
What?
Let's try it once, all of us in the WeWork space, and to see if we're able to now. But for video, now you just like the video calls culture. Of course, everybody in video calls. This is something you just don't want to do in there, right? You just see people in the background, half the people can look at your screen. Then, and I love the energy, indeed, what you said, Michael. But it's the quietness. Even though if WeWork is clever and they're working together, this is the ones we mentioned, or you mentioned the Marriott acquisition of WeWork. But even corporations, okay, in this case, your WeWork also gives you 20%, 30% discount on a day use of Marriott, or vice versa. They can help each other as well. And then sometimes you need a quiet room. Sometimes you're fine to sit with a lot of digital nomads together, shouting and being loud. It's fine. But sometimes not.
There you go. That's an easy way into it. Is Marriott and WeWork have a partnership that says one day a week you can work out of our hotel. And
well, I was gonna say even short-term rental operators are getting creative, and I saw one guy in Aruba. He bought a villa, a big like 8-bedroom villa. You rent room by room, and it's a co-working. So you have there's office space, there's recording studio. I think there's all sorts of little things, and it's pretty much a digital nomad landing pad, basically. Where
we'll flip that on its head. Like in the markets that are highly weekend driven, during the week it's co-working, and on the weekend it's a short-term rental. Like flexibility and being able to run it the way. I mean, I've thought about doing just that in Auburn, Alabama, where there's a weekend market, especially during basketball and football season. But during the week, I also own coworkingauburn.com. So I know there's people interested in my town for co-working, and there's not a co-working spot. So I think opportunities like that exist, especially if you have the real estate.
One of these days, I want to find out how many domains we all own together collectively, because
it's fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
You think we have together more than 500? I would say yes.
I don't have that many. I've got like 10.
Okay, I was gonna say I have like 20-ish, but I know Mr. Ross would be the one that would have like the couple hundred.
I will go close to the 500 with all of us. So no, maybe a couple hundred or so, but it's, I don't know.
Okay, well,
in the beginning,
let me ask
you always, when you're young, this is the domain I'm gonna set for like a lot, right? Just like there's a new brand coming, so just register. You hear those guys like, I'm gonna register it quickly, and then you're just paying 10 years the fee of the registration, and nobody's interested in the domain. So let's see. I still have some nice ones, but let's see if I will use it.
That's called squatting, Michael.
Okay, so let me ask the question. It's just a simple yes or no. Will hotels become the new office? Go around the room to Golden and Ross. Yes or no?
I think they have to in some capacity, yes.
Okay. How about you, Ross?
For sure. No, I think this whole it makes sense, right? So for sure there will be different way of using. So I think it will be completely it will change. I'm really, if you're looking at the rate, it's more technically. I think that one of the issues is still technically, right? That hotels are technically we connecting with hotels, right? With channel managers and PMS and all those stuff. And their rate plans, or the organization or their system, the PMS is just not ready for it often. So I think it's also more like a technical thing that hotels are not able. And then of course it has to be connected to workforce and everything. So I think the issue is more technically if channel managers or PMSs are actually able to prepare actually for those kind of business models. I think it's an advantage first of all for the PMS and or the channel manager to work like this. And I think there will be a business model,
Michael.
Maybe another one. No, but if you no, but if you have a PMS, which is our channel manager, which is actually able to facilitate this, because now you're just pushing a date, right? I know if you're booking on the Bidroom and we're looking at day use as well, those kind of functionalities, but then the restriction is often on the channel manager or on the technical part. So no, we're just facilitating only check-in is day 1 and the checkout is day 3, and that's pretty it. And time, no, it's always between 3 and 11. So it's more often a technical issue. So I think when this can be covered, I think it can go really quick. So if there's any channel managers or PMS or technical guys watching, solve this, because it will be a huge advantage.
Well, there's also going to be the issue of housekeeping. That's my one thing from an operations standpoint. That'll be tricky to maneuver, because labor is still the most expensive cost for a hotel.
What about saying for a $20 discount, if you leave by 8:30 in the morning, you get $20 off, or you get an extra 1,000 points of the loyalty program?
Yeah.
Like,
There's ways
you
around
can
it.
incentivize it. There's plenty of times that I've just like left my bag in the room and wandered the city because I had 3 or 4 hours to kill, but I could have very easily just left.
Yeah.
So you just incentivize the actions that you want.
True.
Well, if you look at hospitality, then you will see that maybe crew, you see it in, of course, in the Citizen and some Moxies and stuff, those kind of hotels. People has multiple roles within a hotel, right? And not all of them they want to clean, but and then you can see, especially now in hospitality, okay, I'm just, when the room comes available, just go there, just clean the room. After, just go back to the bar, just can help with the different stuff. So you're more like a service kind of manager, just give a name, and you're just taking care of the guest. And could be cleaning, could be serving, bringing the room service later on. You could be, in that case, you're just behind the reception or whatever. I think this is also more common that people getting, because a whole day behind the reception is also boring. Whole day cleaning is also, so if you can combine this with different roles, it would be great as well. So, and then you have people who can stay there actually whole day in the hotel, right? So when there is nothing to clean, they're just downstairs helping. So I think this multiple role, and then of course then you have to do some maybe upskilling or reskilling. So we just go to hotel.school for the up or reskilling. But if you're looking at the, I think this also will change. I think more the borders will also work for, maybe is best topic for next time, is the current, like the team of an hotel. Is it still relevant? Do you really need a front office employee and it's the same structure in the future? Or are you going to say we just have service employees, more like Citizen M? Those people, they're just selling a book about a city. They're just helping you with check-in, and then they're also 5 minutes later they're in the bar serving you, making you a margarita. So,
Yeah, good point. Well, we'll find out. I think it's definitely the direction we need to go, but we'll see. A little shameless shout out or plug. I am an ambassador for this event coming up. And so I think I just want to plug it in here for all our Good Morning Hospitality listeners. But, Tourism Renaissance, look at that beautiful space. I'm ambassador of this event, and March 23rd through the 26th. So I'll include a little discount code for everybody if we want. But I think that's a wrap on our show for this week. You guys have any exciting news you want any of the listeners to know for coming up things for you guys?
In particular.
Okay, Ross?
well, next Monday I will be probably around this time in the final or not. So I'm curious. So, or you can try to broadcast live from there if it's possible. Let's see. But let's see. We're going to be in the final next week Monday. So fingers crossed.
You are on the homepage of it. You made the main screen, Michael.
I know.
It was that jacket, man. It was like too fly. All right, guys. Well, thanks for
next week, because I just, of course, not the same outfits. That will be maybe something colorful. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining in. This was fun, and we'll see you guys next week.
Awesome.